The lawyer representing the so-called QAnon Shaman, the individual who was seen in many different videos of the Capitol riots wearing the hilarious getup, has a message for Donald Trump. Before we get to that message, though, and trust me, you want to hear it, I should note that there has been an update on Jacob Chansley. That's the so-called QAnon Shaman. He who infamously stormed the Capitol on January 6th in a hard-to-miss costume, was sentenced to 41 months in prison for his role. And by the way, that's after he took a plea deal. So in the days after the attack, by the way, Chansley gave an interview to NBC News in which he said that he considered January 6th a win. He also told the FBI that he believed that Mike Pence was a, quote, child trafficking traitor, and that the U.S. government was tyrannical. And then 2 weeks after the presidential race had ended, Chansley was already promoting violence online, posting a message that read, quote, "We shall have no real hope to survive the enemies arrayed against us until we hang the traitors lurking among us." Now, again, eventually he took a plea deal. As the Washington Post reported, Chansley pleaded guilty in September to a single felony count of obstructing an official proceeding before Congress. In court, Watkins, the lawyer representing him, argued for leniency on his behalf, saying, among other things, that he had lived for several years with mental illness. But after an evaluation, the judge found that he was competent enough to proceed with the case. Now, with that said, I want to now go to Albert Watkins. That's the lawyer representing him, and he has a message for Trump. Let's watch.
I tell him, you know what? You got a few things to do, including clearing this mess up and taking care of a lot of the jackasses that you up because of January 6th. Now, in the meantime, I might talk to him about some other things that I'd agree with him on. But my opinion doesn't mean
what he says there is absolutely correct. I mean, I think that's actually a part of the story that isn't really focused on much at all. The fact that Donald Trump incited this, he encouraged it, and afterwards, he just kind of allowed all of these people to suffer the consequences without coming to their aid. And look, I think that what they did was wrong and they should suffer consequences for it. But Donald Trump should also be called out by the very people who just adamantly support him. You know, the very people who he abandoned after encouraging them to do exactly what they did that day.
Yeah. So the lawyer is very blunt. In the past, he's said some strong words as well. He said a lot of the defendants were riding the short bus. And so now, hey, that's his words, not mine. Now, look, are a lot of them have some degree of mental health issues? Yeah, but honestly, a giant percentage of Republicans have mental health issues. Okay. So, like, I'm totally serious. Remember, 1 out of 6 Americans believe that the Democrats are in a satanic cult where they murder babies and drink their blood. That's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. An enormous percentage of this country is literally crazy. So
propaganda is a powerful thing, and people get radicalized online all the time. I'm not excusing it. I'm not minimizing it, but I think that you're underestimating how powerful propaganda is, and you're doing that by just claiming that, oh, these people have mental health issues. No, I think that totally normal people who don't have mental health issues very easily end up getting radicalized online.
So overall, you're very right about the power of propaganda, and I don't know what to call it. Like, but Anna, back in the old days, when somebody thought that that people were in a satanic cult and drank baby blood, they were called crazy because that's crazy. So I get that they're in a cult, and I get that they were brainwashed. And actually, a lot of the January 6th defendants have come out. I don't know about a lot, but certainly some have come out that I've read about where they said, yeah, man, I don't know what I was thinking in that time period, right? Like, I realize now that I had got sucked into this rabbit hole, again, unfortunately, oftentimes in social media, and I started to really believe these things. And now that I've snapped out of it, I can't believe the things that I believe. Now, maybe they're doing that because they're defendants and they are looking for an excuse, but it's a phenomenon that's clearly happening. And in this case, the lawyer is saying, well, who's the guy who put him up to all this and then left him to hang to dry? It was Trump. And that's 100% true. And so that, everybody makes fun of the QAnon shaman because he looks ridiculous, but he was talking about murdering people. So 41 months for a guy who was threatening to murder public officials and broke in and nearly did it, that makes sense for a sentence. But his lawyer isn't wrong to say, where the hell's Trump? He's the one who put him up to this, and now he's comfortable in Mar-a-Lago, and these guys are going to prison.
Exactly. Yeah. And, more than 30 people, by the way, have been charged in connection with the Capitol attack, most of whom have avoided prison time. I'm not just charged. They've been sentenced already. Hundreds have been charged and are still waiting for their case to be adjudicated. A former New Jersey gym owner was also given 41 months in prison for punching a police officer during the riot, the first of almost 200 riot cases of people charged with assault to reach the sentencing phase. And look, for right-wingers who are sympathetic toward the Capitol rioters, just consider what you would want to happen to a person of color who punches a police officer. I mean, they justify cops shooting 12-year-olds playing with toy guns at the park within 2 seconds. So at least these people are alive, and they're now suffering the consequences for what they did on that day.